All right, guys, we're going to look at solving inequalities part 1. So let's talk about these inequalities where f of x is greater than 0, which what that means is your f of x are like y values. So if you're greater than 0, you are above the x-axis. Okay, here's where my y values or my f of x are greater than 0. And then the exact opposite, if my f of x or my y values are less than 0, then that would be down here on my graph. So that would mean I am below the x-axis. All right, now if f of x equals 0 exactly, that would mean I am right on the x-axis. All right, so we are going to solve this inequality here. And we're going to solve by graphing, and then we'll, in a second here, solve the same thing by using a sign line or a number line. All right, so a couple things I'm going to do here. On my graph, I want to find my x-intercepts. So I will factor this, and what multiplies to be -12 and adds up to -4, I'm going to go with a -6 and a +2. All right, which means that I have x-intercepts for this at a +6 and a -2. So I'm going to put those on my graph here. All right, and I also see that I have a positive x squared, so I should be facing up. So it's going to be looking something like this. It's not a perfect graph, but I did get my perfect x-intercepts at -2 and 6. All right, so what I'm trying to look at now is the inequality. When is this less than 0? This function, again, is less than 0 when it's below the x-axis. So I'm trying to figure out where it's below the x-axis. And it looks like, in this case, this section of my graph is below 0, less than 0. So I'm going to then give the interval from -2 up to 6. And looking at the inequality, it didn't say less than or equal to, it just says less than. So I will have parentheses. If it said equal to, I would have to put a square bracket. But this is my interval that is below 0. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing, but a sign line, basically like a number line. And I want to know which of those numbers are less than 0 again. So I'm going to factor this again. It's the same problem, so I still get an x - 6 and x + 2. All right, and again, I want to know when it's less than 0. I know where it equals 0. It equals 0 at 6 and at -2. So on my number line, -2, 6. Okay, I'm going to break my number line up into these 1, 2, 3 different sections, and then I'm going to test each section. So let's see, over here, this section, I'm going to pick something to the left of -2, so like -3, -4, whatever, pick a number. I'll probably just test -3. And so this little test gives me a -3 - 6 times a -3 + 2, which this gives me, honestly, I don't even care what the number is, I just care if it's positive or negative. This gives me a negative times another negative, which is a positive. So this whole section are positives. All right, and now I'm going to do the same thing in this middle section. I'd probably just choose 0. If I do 0 - 6 times 0 + 2, again, I really just care, does this end up with a positive or a negative? And this gives me a -6 times a +2. Negative times positive is negative, so that whole section would be in the negatives. And then my last section here, I'll pick something greater than 6. Maybe I'll just pick like a 7. So 7 - 6 times 7 + 2. This gives me a positive times a positive, which is positive. So everything over there is positive. And again, they want me to figure out when I am less than 0, like when I'm negatives are less than 0. And this section is where we are less than 0, all the negatives. So that would be from -2 to +6. So it's the same thing, -2 to +6 in parentheses, again, because I have just strictly less than, not less than or equal to. So here is my interval again. So I solved the same problem, just in a different way.